Okay, so I got a lot to say about a certain thing in Descendants 3, but we'll talk about all three of them. In fact, 2 and 3 I've been meaning to watch for years. I remember watching the first one, and that was past my Disney Channel era. You know, stuff like Zack and Cody, Wizards of Waverly Place, That's So Raven, Anna Montana, all that. But I certainly remember the shows that were around by the end of that era. Good Luck Charlie, Jesse and its spinoff, Girl Meets World, and you best believe I know Phineas and Ferb. The premise of Descendants is a simple one, really. You got the kids of the memorable Disney villains. They used to be bad, but things change. And from what I remember, the first one was pretty good. So, years later, I checked out Descendants 2 and 3 on Disney Plus. And when watching the second one, memories of the first movie were coming back to me. The first question about this world, this film's world I got, is what in the No Way Home flashpoint of madness happened for this universe to exist? The main thing about this trilogy is that most of the Disney eras, well, the Disney princess eras from the beginning to our current era, they all exist in one world. Now, for people that grew up with those older movies like myself, you would think, oh, okay, Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty, they would coexist pretty well. Maybe they were neighboring kingdoms. But then you got the other movies to think about. For example, Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid. Okay, maybe they would have coexisted as well, but I'd say they would have had to been at least a few hundred years after the original three. There's also, well, one of the main characters is the son of Jafar. So you got that old Arabic era of sultans, and I think that was, what, before the medieval era? And here's another big thing. When it comes to the films, not just the Disney princess eras, you have Carlos, the son of Cruella de Vil. That's way after that old era. That's, what, 60s Britain? And two other things. In Descendants 2, there's a character that's the daughter of Mulan, so that's one of those Chinese dynasty eras. And then in Descendants 3, there's Hades, so that's ancient Greece. You see what I mean? This universe is crazy. Somebody messed with the timeline again. And before I go further into this, one thing to mention is the actor for Carlos, his unfortunate passing. And that passing is why I doubt there will be any more Descendants films after the third one. But while we're still talking about Carlos, there's certainly one other thing I got to address because of my video on Black Ariel and why that casting choice wasn't okay. Which, by the way, man, that whole thing gotten worse ever since. Like, you got WB doing their nonsense with the Scooby-Doo gang. But here's the thing. Cruella de Vil in this universe is black. Which means Carlos had some black in him. Little edit here. The actor actually did have black in him. I legit didn't know. Like, the guy, he was half African American, half Jewish. Now, I can't find any info on this, but they probably casted him first for Carlos, then casted for Cruella. And then there's Uma in Descendants 2, who is the daughter of Ursula, who Whoopi Goldberg voiced in that movie, but she certainly wasn't in it. So here's the thing, and I'll be surprised if the remake Aerial Defenders never talked about this. So when looking at these movies, they'll probably say this. You people are hypocrites. How come you bash on Black Ariel, but you give Black Cruella de Vil and Uma a pass? You are freaking hypocrites. Y'all wanna know why those characters don't get bashed on? In fact, I wish I've seen these movies before I made that video, because Descendants is another example of good diversity, okay? These movies are up there with 1997 Cinderella, using a familiar name, in fact, a lot of familiar things, but different things at the same time. Is familiar yet different. You see what I mean? These movies are relying 100% on the original films. This isn't like a remake or anything. They combined all these IPs into their own world and just had fun with it. And before we get to Descendants 3, there's just one joke I gotta put in here. Uma is the better character, okay? She will win in that kind of rap battle. Now on to the craziest thing in Descendants 3. Now in the first two movies, you know that Mao is Maleficent's daughter, but they never said anything about her father. I thought whoever was mad enough to hook up with Maleficent wasn't evil in the first place and died trying to get Mao out of that villainous life. I'll just play the clip.
Hi, Dad.
Yep. Oh, that's still funny to me. Oh. Freaking Hades is Mao's. I don't even want to know what Maleficent said. Here is the best part about this. He was in the type of relationship where he always cared about his kid, but the crazy wife was too much. And another thing in this movie, every time Mao needed help, he didn't even hesitate. I just can't believe that man Maleficent hooks up with Hades. How the hell did that happen? You think if Maleficent would have hooked up with anybody, she'd be the type to want to hook up with someone of the same intellect, you know? Here's one example. Imagine if Lion King was in this universe, but, you know, humanized with an African kingdom based off of the Shaka Zulu era of Africa. She would have hooked up with a human Scar because they would have had the same intellect. But not with freaking Hades. In fact, let me go look up a clip of Maleficent in the first Descendants movie real quick. Okay, I see why Hades left. Two last things to talk about. One, giving Hades such a singing voice. I don't even mind that at all. And Mao's line in a song after that clip. Mao, your parents are Hades and Maleficent. You're a villain's kid. You think that will come with the territory? And that passing is why I doubt there will be any more Descendants films after the third one. Excuse me for recording this one a little late at freaking 1 a.m. I just found out about this. There will actually be a fourth Descendants film. Well, in this case, this one is a spinoff, but I'll take it over another freaking remake. Disney's actually taking one of their newer franchises that they built and further add to it. Now, there are a few things in this article title that may catch your eye if you remember a certain film. Let me zoom out of this. I am not making this up. In the new Descendants film, they got Brandy and the actor for Prince Charming from the '97 Cinderella film back. Now, I was confused for a quick second, but in the previous three films, Cinderella wasn't in it. So, for sake of argument, the 1997 Cinderella film is in the Descendants universe, which just adds more questions of how this universe works. I thought this mind-boggler of a universe only involved all the Disney films you see here. All the films from the different eras. But these other films that were made, I don't know what to call these, side movies, they're in this universe too? So what, Twitches could be in this universe as well? Is Exile Kang behind this mess of a universe? So anyway, back to the movie. This one follows new characters for obvious reasons. Also involves time travel with the rabbit's watch. And I just made a Kang joke. Maybe the rabbit is a Kang variant. And surprisingly, Uma's gonna be in this one. I thought China was done with Hollywood, but she's reprising her role. But it's certainly another plus. Another issue we're avoiding besides remakes, we're avoiding the, I'll just call it as it is, the freaking blackwash issue that's going on right now, and it's getting worse and worse. Just look at this list. And this list is ongoing. But with this Descendants spinoff, we don't gotta deal with that here. Disney's making new characters here. And also reusing newer characters, well, previous new characters they made, such as Uma. And 1997 Cinderella doesn't count in that blackwash mess. I will definitely tune in to Disney Plus to see this movie when it's out. I'll definitely take this over the Little Mermaid remake. and that new Peter Pan. I'm not even gonna say anything else about those two movies. I'll just wait. Finally got around to watching this, another fun one. In fact, whoever makes the music for these movies, they better get paid tons. Whoever's been making just banger after banger for 4 movies straight, they're overqualified for this. Making all these just great tracks for freaking TV movie. So you got the film following these 2 new girls, Princess Red and Chloe. Princess Red is another villain kid, daughter of the freaking Red Queen. I thought it would have been funny if they got Helena Bonham Carter back, but I guess that would have been way too expensive for a TV film. Unlike all the other villain kids, Princess Red isn't evil at all. Doesn't want to be. Uma invites her to the school, but the Red Queen got her plans to take it over. Princess Red goes back in time with that time machine, and Chloe, Cinderella's daughter, gets caught up in it. Speaking of, it was nice seeing Brandy and Paolo back, and man, that stuff makes me feel old, and I'm just 30. And here's the thing about the continuity with these movies. The way Cinderella and Prince Charming meet up here, it's not the same continuity as the 97 film, but that's understandable. Because again, this whole freaking Flashpoint universe is just insane with all these IPs into one. So the Red Queen has her evil plans because at some point in the past, people did a Carrie-style prank to her. A bunch of people probably don't even know what I'm talking about. Carrie is the predecessor to 11. She got bullied. There was a huge prank and made her snap, and she just wiped out the school. So the kids are aiming to prevent that. They meet their parents, and the Red Queen in the past is just a discount Ariana Grande. They also meet the villains back then. Now remember Ursula's sister from one of the good Disney sequels? Disney acknowledged that. Don't know where she is in the present time. Her name in these movies is Uliana, not Morgana, because one of the other villains is the son of Morgan Le Fay. And Disney used that character in Sylvia the First, so that's one of their newer villains these days. And her name is also Morgana, so there would have been some confusion. Back to Chloe real quick, I almost forgot to talk about this. Now, I thought it would have been funny if the character just looks more like the dad. Got her dad's looks. But the actress is mixed. Her father is South African, her mom is Canadian. Anyway, the kids changed the past, so the Red Queen is good. But Uma hints that something else is coming. The kids actually caused the Flashpoint from changing the past. So we gotta look out for a 5th movie. And I thought, the movie showed off Princess Red and the Red Queen, but not the father. I was curious if they were gonna top Hades and Maleficent, who in the past were freaking high school sweethearts. But they didn't. Not here anyway. We gotta address one thing before my final thought. Cameron's character. So they brought him up early on, but it kind of implies his character is dead too. Before Princess Red was invited to school, she mentioned doing that in honor of his character. And even she's teary-eyed, and that was definitely legit tears from China Anne. So you know what? Disney gets props for not recasting the character, and also not just pressing the reboot button for these movies. And if they did do a recast, people would have been pissed. Just like all those recast T'Challa people would have been pissed if Marvel did that so soon, instead of waiting till Eyes of Wakanda. In fact, that'll be the freaking test. Anyway, back to this. So considering the tracks in these movies, and considering the cast for the Red Queen, honestly, I'd say Disney should get Nicki Minaj for one of these. I'm not even kidding, she could be PG, look at her character in Steven Universe. And before her rapping career, she wanted to get into acting, she even did some Broadway before. In fact, in that track with B.O.B., she said, you know I graduated summa cum laude, that's why they thinking I'm Illuminati. Summa cum laude means with highest honor. The name of that track is Out of My Mind, man. Female rappers these days would never. Anyway, when it comes to who she should play, I try to think of any other evil queen left from other IPs, and I guess there's Zero from Lion King. I mean, why not? Why not use Lion King but have the characters be human? Like the freaking Broadway musical.